Okay, so several short notes. I mean, the container is still on fire. I needed to actually reduce the flames with Coke Zero several times because it became too hot, and the glass the glass table, I mean, was becoming too hot. But now it's, and I also padded it with more paper, but now it's better. Yes, as expected. I mean, the metal containers, they do not, they are much better, like, I mean, for electrolysis and for just, I mean, for sealed, like, ecosystems, like the huge metal aquarium. They are better suited for these purposes than for fire. For fire, it's better to use actually the clay crucibles, as I've done until now. And this is for several reasons, and one of the expected reasons is I mean, clay is, it dissipates the heat much better, and I mean, it doesn't, like, I mean, so it doesn't pose like risk to the surrounding, and I mean, there is much less risk of, like, to get burned. There is also the question of, like, there is also the question that I posed, like, just now, of, what happens to the magnet. I don't know actually if you hit the magnet so much. I mean, what happens to the magnet? It's a question. Like, this is a very big magnet that I've used quite a bit, so I'm, like, kind of, like, attached to it. And my suspicion is there are tremendous amount of Neros inside the magnet, like the metal itself. But I don't know how to get it out of it, or how to prove it, or to disprove it. But it's interesting. Regarding art, I watched, like, the first couple of seconds from, like, the latest, like, Angry Astronaut video, and I've seen, like, I mean, there is, like, a painting, like, abstract painting, like, in his background, in his background. I don't know if it's in any way related, like, I mean, refers to anything that I've said, because it's kind of like a ping pong, the way the intelligence agencies work. As an anecdote, I should say that a couple of years ago, when I still had money and freedom, actually one time, I mean, I was influenced by the Angry Astronaut. YouTubers, I mean, in general, social media personas, like to be influencers. So I've seen, like, the three Martian posters, and kind of like maybe Art Deco, I don't know, kind of like an old design. But I actually liked it, so I bought it from Amazon. I still have it. I mean, I always move, but I still have these posters with me in the closet, like, and also another like poster with the Martian, like the Martian, like, I mean, like, these three posters, I mean, presumably, promote Martian tourism, and I liked it, so I bought it. Like, it was a couple of years ago. I was just reminded of that now. I should say that regarding my paintings, I mean, I spoke about it quite a bit in the past, and I posted, like, 13 videos in this channel. I don't know if they are visible to you, but I mean, it should be said that I have more than 100, and mostly all of it is acrylic or oil or both on canvas, sometimes with varnish. And actually they've been to quite a lot. I mean, but this is a story for another time, because I mean, I've traveled all over, in Israel when I still had my freedom, and I painted, like, in the field, as they say, and sometimes it's almost like a hazardous conditions. The Tesla that I have, like, I had listing Tesla Model 3 for like 10 months until it was totaled by a killer truck. So I mean, but I said it. I mean, even though it was a new car, from the inside, it looked like, I mean, like a 20 years old car, because I mean, it was all, like, I mean, everything was paint and turpentine and ash, and it was completely a wreckage in the inside. It eventually didn't matter much because it was totaled. So I still have, like, the this marking on my nice belly from the the cushion. How do you say, like, I mean, the airbag. But other than that, I mean, I had no problem. I mean, I didn't break anything, and like, I mean, I was released from the hospital, even though it was a very serious accident. Like, I mean, like a truck just, I mean, threw me like out of the lane, like directly inside, like, you know, like a metal pole, like, you know, and it was a really horrible accident. But I think my bones are much considerably, I mean, you know, more durable than regular bones, because I never broke, all my life I never broke, I mean, you know, thanks to God, never broke like a bone, including in this pretty serious accident. Maybe, and as I've said, maybe it's kind of a contribute to the fact that I always weigh a little more than I look, even though I do not look thin at all. I mean, I look big. It's not that I look thin, but I always weigh more than, like, a little bit more. And like, I mean, it was actually all my life, and I didn't understand why. And I think that it's the reason is, I mean, I think it's like, now I think it's because of probably it's not the same kind of skeleton. Like, the skeleton is different, I guess, and maybe just weight more. And maybe this is like I mean, literally, I have like, I mean, I have like heavy bones, big bones. Throughout my life, I had many diets, and I lost a lot of weight and gained a lot of weight, but I mean, since, like, I don't know, junior high, I was never below 100, almost never below 110 kilograms. Outside, like, I mean, very specific times, like after, you know, the John Muir Trail, which is like 17 days, like in Sierra Nevada, and you don't eat much because you need to put all your food like in a very canister. So I went below 110, but I mean, like my thin version is 110 kilograms, and now I'm much more than that. Like, I don't know how much because I have no scales here, but I guess at least 125, maybe a little more. And I don't look that big, like, even though I do look big. And like the maximum that I've reached is 150, but of course it's not healthy at all. And many times I was around 130, and I look very big and fat, but I mean, not that fat. But so maybe this is like due to just, I mean, the bones. So with regards to paintings, just if you missed like this kind of series, like series of 13 videos, and one of the interesting things about these paintings, that all of these paintings, like more than 100, of course they are interesting because I painted them and like I'm one of a kind, but also, and they represent all sort of, like, I mean, you know, everything is like part of a symbolic language, so everything is like, it's kind of a communication with the starship or with the robots. And many times there is like also like metadata on the other side, like, I mean, like the other side of the painting, like, I mean, the canvas, that, I mean, also, like, I mean, you know, extra symbols. But what was, I mean, a surprise to me, and I discovered that, I mean, a couple of months ago, is that actually all these paintings, I mean, I didn't check all of it, but I checked 13. All of these paintings, and they come in various sizes, like some bigger, some smaller, but all of it, they are all alien containers, both acrylic and oil. Every painting contains tremendous amount of Neros, of the robots, and also life forms, synthetic life forms. This is a curiosity, but it's a fact. Now, how it became so, it's kind of like a long story and pretty complicated, but I mean, the basic stuff is that, I mean, you know, I work on the painting, and my sweat, and, you know, sometimes even like not only sweat, but bodily fluids, I mean, they arrive on the canvas, and over time, they are energized by the electricity, by the city, the electricity effect, and the oven that is. I'm always subjected to the oven and the electricity attacks by neighbors in here, or in my mother's apartment, or in Shoam, in my rented apartment where I lived with my daughters 4 years. And these electricity attacks and also sound attacks actually energize the Neros, and they made them multiply and also create life forms. So every painting is like a rug. Canvas is a rug that, you know, a rug that contains tremendous, like, millions of robots and life forms. And how do I know that? Because it was tested. I mean, I took 2 samples. I mean, just, you know, with a knife from the deeper layers of the acrylic and oil of paintings that are at least like 1 year old. and sometimes I needed like to soften it a little bit with alcohol, so it will be easier to like to watch it like under like, using my only microscope, which is backlight microscope. And all the samples, like 26 samples, like I mean, 2 samples of each 13 paintings, all samples, I mean, contain tremendous amount of robots and life forms. And this was documented in this channel. I mean, there are 13 videos of various paintings where you actually see that. I mean, this whole process was documented. I mean, I take like, I mean, use a knife, like a precision knife, like to take like, I mean, sometimes I actually hurted the paintings, so it required a fix, so I fixed it, and some left without a fix, and I still need to fix it. But I mean, it's microscope. It's not something that it didn't hurt much, but I mean, all samples, 26 samples. I mean, when both from oil and acrylic deposits, when diluted a little bit with alcohol, just I mean, so it will be like so there will be fluid for the backlight microscope. So the fluid contains tremendous amount of like robots and life forms, which is extremely interesting because it means that each of these paintings, I mean, maybe not this one, which is kind of new. I mean, it takes time, obviously. This is a new one. This was painted here, but these paintings were painted long ago, like more than a year ago, all of these. And I mean, some were, I mean, I added like, I've added small additions in the last couple of months, I mean, for symbolic purposes, but mostly, I mean, they were painted more than a year ago. And this is true to mostly all my paintings, because I didn't paint much, like almost nothing here, like in this room, because it's so small, and I like. And also I should say that I mean now I'm more like, I mean, in the beginning, like when I started painting 2 years ago, I was more like I liked acrylic, but I kind of like transitioned to acrylic and oil, and then just to oil, and now I actually like oil more, and you need it's so messy and disgusting, like, and I mean, it's not disgusting, it's fun, like, I mean, I really enjoy, like, I mean, mixing the colors, with linseed oil, and turpentine, and liquid, lots of, I mean, brand names that, I mean, I don't want to advertise also talking brand names for like solvents, and of course mixing the colors, I mean, the colors themselves together. I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, I can do it like all night. I mean, I've done it many times, like all night, just mixing the colors. I mean, some people just don't like it, and so they don't choose oil paintings. But I actually like it very much. Like, I mean, the process, like before you actually touch the brush, like, I mean, just, I mean, mixing the oil colors. I mean, I enjoy it very much. Like, I mean, but I mean, you need space for that. I mean, you cannot do it like in this room, because it will be hazardous. There are many paintings. This is actually black and white paintings, like like from the moon series, and of course, I mean, storing it like rolled is not the best thing, but I cannot. I mean, they are all here, like in this suitcase or in here. So you see, and I mean, I couldn't like store it like any. I mean, of course, I mean, I had to hold it, in order to be able to have it with me. So there are many paintings. There are more than 100, and like mostly, I mean, they're like between 1 year and 2 years old, and all of the older ones, I mean, that were not created here, and this is like the vast made all of it is like that. So I've checked 13, and and 2 samples of each, and all contain, like, I mean, life forms and Neros in tremendous amount. So each painting is like a container, actually. It's like a rug, which is a container of life forms and Neros, and it's actually very interesting. And I don't know if you have the videos, I mean, available to you, but if not, I mean, what can you do? I mean, can you like repost the video in YouTube, or like, I mean, reshare? There is such thing, like to share a video with yourself, like you do in Facebook. Because if so, I mean, I would gladly just, I mean, share the video with, the 13 videos, and you can actually, I mean, just, I mean, watch the process of like how I actually test it, and what you can see under the microscope. So this, I think, makes the painting even more like interesting, much more interesting. I mean, besides the fact that I painted it, and besides the fact that it's all like, symbolic meanings. Like, I mean, sometimes the symbolic meaning is obvious, like, with starships and destruction of the earth, the flying of the earth, but there are more elaborate, there are other things that are a little more, mostly it's ambiguous. I mean, even these paintings were intentionally ambiguous, because it also have the microscopic, the microscopic angle, and And sometimes it's just, I mean, a beautiful woman with large breasts, because that's what I like. So I mean, doesn't need much explanation. But mostly it's all sort of, I mean, abstract. Mostly it's abstract. Several portraits, several like, you know, voluptuous women. But mostly it's also like abstract, you know. Mostly it's very, I would say, tends to be more to the creepy side. Like, I mean, like apocalyptic kind of like art. What can I say? And I mean, above all, I mean, they're all alien containers with tremendous amount of robots and life forms. So I mean, maybe if you don't have access to it, I mean, maybe I'll try to reshare it so you really get access to it. Something like that.